Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Same Person Radio podcast. This is episode 2 of our podcast. I'm your co-host, Steven, alongside co-host Justin.
What up?
And this is the Super Bowl podcast. That won't be our only topic that we'll be talking about today, but that will be the first topic we'll be discussing, along with some other ones like the Xbox One Scorpio project and the DC movie studios. Talk about those a little bit, talking about kind of where they're at. Got some news coming out with Ben Affleck and Batman and some new movies that got coming out. So we'll talk about those as well. Justin will give us his something that grinds his gears with his life rant. And then as always, we'll have our crossfire segment.
Crossfire.
Exactly, crossfire. So we'll move right into our first discussion, which is actually going to be on the Super Bowl, Patriots versus Falcons, Sunday, February 5th, and I'm looking forward to it, Justin.
Yeah, me too. I really hope the Falcons win. Although I kind of feel like it's kind of one of those things where even if they don't win, it'll still be kind of cool to see Goodell have to give Brady the trophy, which would be like the one salvaging point. I still want Falcons to win more, but if that were to happen, that would be great.
My dislike for the Patriots is very strong, and so I do hope the Falcons win, just like you do. Hashtag same person. And the big thing that everybody keeps talking about is Goodell having to give Brady the trophy. But if I remember correctly, it's not even really Goodell handing the trophy anymore. I thought it was like some kind of celebrity or some older football player that walks the trophy down and then hands it. Maybe Goodell still gives it to him on the podium. I'm not sure. So
yeah, I'm not sure exactly 100% how that works. But and the thing is like I don't know, would like Brady be the first one to grab it from him, or would Belichick, or I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see tonight if they win. But
yeah, he'll probably hand it to another Patriot that he doesn't care about, and then they'll hand it off.
Exactly.
That way he doesn't have to. He doesn't look him in the eye.
Yeah, he'll give it to Brandon Bolden.
Right. Exactly.
Fucking third string running back. He's just like, here, I'm gonna hand this to you. Can you get this stuff to the front?
I gotta go. I gotta go do something.
Yeah, I gotta go take a shit.
Right. So what's your prediction on the score then? Obviously, that you hope Falcons win, but do you predict them to win?
I'm gonna go and predict them to win. Yeah, it's really close. I mean, I looked at the breakdown of like the rankings of their offenses and defenses and all that stuff, and it seemed like the Patriots had a slight advantage, especially on defense, it seemed. But on offense, it was a little more even, especially because just the run offense, I should say, and the Falcons was better. So as first prediction, I think Falcons will pull it out. I just think that their offense is just that good. And I think that what will happen is the score will be 38-34 Falcons.
38-34 Falcons. I like it. I was looking at that as well. I saw a stat that the Falcons have the number one scoring offense in the league, and the Patriots have the number one scoring defense in the league.
Yep.
So it should be a good game. As we have seen, Matt Ryan is the Offensive Player of the Year and the MVP of the league, which I predicted for our last podcast. And Yep, and so Matty Ice finally getting some recognition there. We know with the MVP, he did have a stellar season, almost 5,000 yards. And I think the offense of the Falcons is just a lot better. Not a lot better, but much better.
They're just more high-powered.
Yeah, it's definitely more high-powered than the Patriots defense. And the other, flipping that, while the Falcons defense may not be great and may not be as good as the Patriots defense, I think they do get to the quarterback better. Than the Patriots do, and getting Tom Brady pressured is going to cause a lot of issues. And I hope that's a big thing today, is the Falcons can get a lot of pressure and maybe cause a pick or two for Brady. So my prediction is actually going to be 31-24 Falcons. And hopefully they pull it out. I really would like them to pull it out. Matty Ice possibly getting MVP of the league and Super Bowl MVP would be a pretty cool thing for him. So we'll see how that goes later on during the Super Bowl. What do you guys got going on for food during the Super Bowl?
Probably ordering some pizzas. I don't know. We've been actually trying to clean out our fridge and freezer lately. So we're having our friend Mark over, who obviously, and we were just going to clear out our freezer. But then I saw our favorite pizza place is actually having a deal where you buy one pizza, you get one. It was either free or half off. I forget. And I was like, maybe that might be a good idea. So we'll see. I think I'm gonna be pushing for the pizza.
Yeah, definitely can't go wrong with BOGO pizza. I mean,
Yeah,
1, it's pizza, 2, it's BOGO, and 3, it's pizza. So
for sure.
exactly. We're actually going to have kind of a smorgasbord of stuff. I am going to make some buffalo chicken bombs, I think they were called in the recipe, which sounds pretty good. We're also going to have a veggie tray with some fruit. Another friend is making some homemade chicken nuggets, so looking forward to those. We'll also have some other desserts and different things like that. So lots of random food that we'll be making, but I'm looking forward to it, being the fatty that I am.
Well, if I leave now, I should be able to get there in time for some of it at least.
No, exactly. It's only 2 hours away. You can make it. So, one thing that always comes with the Super Bowl that I find very interesting and wish that I lived in Vegas are the prop bets for the Super Bowl. Looking at a website, oddshark.com has a lot of prop bets for the Super Bowl, where things from you can bet on the coin toss, you can bet on which team wins the coin. Jesus, can't even say it. You can win the coin toss. There's a bet for which song Lady Gaga is going to sing first at the halftime show. So just looking at some here, Justin, who do you think is going to be who's going to score the first touchdown for either team?
Ooh, I'm going to go with LeGarrette Blount. I just feel like that. I think the for what reason, I'm just thinking the Patriots will get the ball first. They'll win the toss or whatever. And they'll get down the field and he'll score and everyone will start freaking out. And then that'll be the last touchdown they score for probably a while. And then it'll go down back and forth for the rest of the game. But
gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tevin Coleman for the first.
That's
touchdown.
Actually a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Falcons will get down the field, and then Devonta Freeman's either going to come out because he's tired, or they're going to maybe throw a screen pass to Tevin Coleman. So that would be my prop bet there. Another weird kind of prop bet they have. So Jason Aldean, and I'm sorry, not Jason Aldean. Luke Bryan is singing the national anthem. Singer Luke Bryan. Do you think that Luke Bryan will be wearing a hat when he appears on screen before singing the national anthem?
Luke Bryan. I'm gonna go with no, because from what I recall, I don't remember him really wearing a hat too much. Oh, a baseball hat could be too. Yes, they're definitely, absolutely.
See, that was my thinking too. But then I thought, well, it's the national anthem, and he'd have to remove the hat. So I don't know.
Oh, I didn't think about that part of it.
Exactly. So I went with no on that. Talking to my wife and asking her about it, she didn't even really know that he was singing the national anthem either. So, it's a.
Well, I mean, you just said Jason Aldean, so you just mixed them up anyways.
That's the white guy country singers. That's what you.
Now the question is, if Jason Aldean was doing the thing, would he take off his cowboy hat?
Oh, that's very true. I'm not too sure. So, and then we'll go with this one just to note it down. What color is the Gatorade? Will the Gatorade be that will be dumped on the winning coach? So the one here is we have clear / water, lime green, yellow, orange, red, blue, or purple.
I'm picturing orange.
Orange?
Okay. Orange. No particular reason, but when you first said the question, I thought orange for whatever reason.
You thought orange? I'm going to go with red, and the reason I'm going to go with red is because I hope the Falcons win, and I assume if the Falcons are black and red, they're just going to have some red Gatorade. So
that would make sense. I mean, that would make sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping there. So, all right. Well, we'll see what happens with the Super Bowl. It'll be a fun watch. Make sure to, catch all the commercials. I tried not to spoil anything because some did come out a little bit beforehand. I think there was a Transformers movie, trailer that came out. So didn't watch.
I haven't seen any of them on purpose. Just
yes.
because, like, if the Patriots are winning, I want just to have a reason to still be watching.
Exactly. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is our fun one called Crossfire.
Crossfire, you get Crossfire.
Crossfire. All right. So you could go ahead and start this week, Justin, with your Crossfire.
All right. So they've announced since our last episode the official title for the new Star Wars film is The Last Jedi. What is your thought? Do you like it? You don't like it?
I like it. I like the fact that it can be Jedi is a word that can be, I don't know what the name of that is, but it can be singular or plural. I'm also very curious to see, is Luke the last Jedi? Is it somebody that we don't know? I saw a theory that maybe Snoke could be the last Jedi for some reason. So lots of different things. I'm really excited for that.
Cool.
So kind of keeping on the Super Bowl topic, if the Patriots do win and Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, He'll have the most rings, Super Bowl rings, as a quarterback, and he'll be tied for the most with Chuck Haley as a player. Would that cement him as the greatest of all time?
To be honest, I think even if he doesn't win, he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. Just because if you just look at his resume, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he's been at the top of the quarterback food chain for long ass time, and the fact that he wasn't drafted makes it even more impressive to me.
He was drafted in the 6th round.
Correct. Oh, that's right. He was drafted. I'm thinking of Heinz Ward. I always think of for a reason I mix those two up. They don't look anything alike. There's nothing similar. 9th position.
Right,
I always mix their draft positions up.
Yeah. No, all right. All right.
All right. So last night the Hall of Fame inductees were announced. Owens didn't make it in. Taylor did make it in. What's your overall thoughts on the whole entire Hall of Fame class this year?
So I agree with everybody that got in, except for Jason Taylor. I think that Jason Taylor should be in eventually, but Terrell Owens is second on the list in most receiving categories. And while people may not like his personality, he was one hell of a player, and he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame before Jason Taylor does. As a Redskins fan, I really hope Joe Jacoby would be in. He was part of the Hogs, which was pretty much the first kind of group of players that you kind of could promote, and market. And they were just so good. And I really thought that he would get in, but he didn't. So.
Right.
Massachusetts lawmakers proposed a bill that would require 100% renewable energy by 2035. Thoughts on that?
That seems like a good idea to me. I mean, it's just Massachusetts, so I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm all for renewable energy and everything because, I mean, energy isn't infinite as we're at now. So, I mean, got to find a solution somehow, I guess. So right. Hopefully that's a long ass time away though. So I guess, I'd hope a little bit sooner than that.
Right.
Requiring.
You say that, but that's only 18 years.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Way to depress me on a Sunday. Right.
Yeah, it's only 18 years away, and 100% renewable energy means everybody would have to have solar, wind,
right?
Electric. So it's kind of, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, my turn. All right. So EA had their investors call this week, and they revealed a couple new things. A new NBA Live is coming, for instance. BioWare has a new IP where it actually sounds a lot like Destiny. It seems like they're going a little bit away from their RPG roots. And also, the thing that I thought was pretty cool was Star Wars Battlefront 2 will be coming this year and have a campaign. What's your thoughts on what EA is doing and what are you most excited for?
The Star Wars Battlefront news with the single player actually excites me a lot. I do like the multiplayer that's available now in the Vault, so I waited for that to get it for free. But play that, really like it. The IP sounds like it could be good, but probably won't take me away from Destiny as far as that kind of gameplay goes. And then another thing that I did see from that is that Madden 18 will be using the Frostbite engine, which FIFA 17 used. And so they will hopefully Madden will look even better than it does. Madden, for me, the presentation is good enough for me. I just wish that we could maybe improve a little bit of the gameplay things and some of the functionalities with connected franchise and things like that. So,
yeah, I did not see that. That's actually really awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So, good news there. Thomas Mahler from Moon Studios, they're the game studio who made Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a really popular game, says that Xbox Scorpio is a next-gen machine with the added benefit that all your old games will still be compatible. What are your thoughts on that?
That really kind of, we'll get into this in a minute, but that statement really kind of confuses me, just knowing what the Scorpio is so far. To say it's a next gen machine, kind of, especially because it's got the tether of the old system behind it. But if that's true, that super excites me and makes me want to get it even more. Well, and eventually want to get a 4K TV. But right. That's an exciting thing to hear. So I hope it's true. I guess we'll find out in a few months.
Yeah.
But
well, I think we'll get some news soon. Actually, that moves us into our next discussion that we're going to have is on the Xbox One Project Scorpio that we heard was announced last E3 2016 at a weird time when they just announced the Xbox One S. They announced their Xbox One Scorpio. So,
yeah. So basically, yeah, if they're like on that day they announced the S just to kind of be like, hey, here's what we got for now, and then they announced the Scorpio, which sounds really cool. They say, the thing they keep saying it's going to be the most powerful console ever made on the market, and which would mean for the first time, at least in this gaming generation, that it's more powerful, the most powerful than Sony, I should say. Sony's been the most powerful this whole time since launch. I mean, it's not so much more powerful where it's crazy, but there has been instances where PlayStation games, especially third-party stuff like Destiny or even some of these other third-party games, where they run a little bit better than the Xbox One as far as frame rates, as far as how many P's on your screen they're projecting.
Right.
So that alone is a really good thing. The only thing I'm worried about is, they said that everything that comes out on Xbox One to that point will be compatible with it, and everything that comes out afterwards will be compatible on both. So it's like, how much more powerful can it really be? Because you're still a little bit held back, I feel like, by the Xbox One, which was kind of the issue at the beginning of the Xbox One and PS4, is they still support the PS3 and Xbox 360 with some of their games. Like another, obviously we play Destiny a lot, so it's an easy example for me. But until recently, until they cut that off at the end of last year, all of a sudden, you notice improvements in Destiny, things that they couldn't do before. So I'm worried. I guess we'll see how they go about that. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's looking at just some of the projected specs that people have come out with. The Xbox One right now has 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and the Scorpio is suggested at 12 gigs of DDR5, which should greatly speed it up. One thing that I think we'll see the big difference in with Scorpio is kind of like maybe the dashboard for the Xbox. It's, to me, it just seems very, very slow.
Yeah.
And I know that they're trying to make Xbox and PC gaming very compatible, and it's just not anywhere close. Right now, to where a PC, it's just, if you obviously make your own, custom PC, or you have a gaming PC, everything is just so snappy. It's fast. It loads. It's ready to go. Whereas on the Xbox now, there's a lot of slower load times. There's a lot of, it just takes some time to record a video or to snap your thing up on the screen. And so I'm really looking forward to how fast and how much better Scorpio is going to make those type of things. But I don't want the price to be too high. They've come out and said that it will have premium pricing, and they put premium in quotation marks, but it won't be as much as, it won't be astronomical. It won't be as much as like a gaming PC. So we'll have to see what the pricing comes out on that. But I am looking forward to it. I think it will be a lot faster, they said, than the PlayStation 4 Pro. So it will be the strongest console, that's available at that time. So we'll see what comes out of it. But like you were talking about, the games that come out, say maybe a Gears of War 5, or a Halo 6, or something that Microsoft makes, when they move it to the Scorpio, I don't want to see, like, if we don't upgrade to the Scorpio, I don't want to see a major drop off in content, or graphics obviously is not a big thing, but I don't want to see them kind of start to forget the Xbox One, whereas they said they won't, but things like that do happen in businesses like this.
Yeah, so that's where I'm kind of at, is like, okay, so if that's really cool that they're like, you don't have to upgrade to this, but what are the consequences for not? Because they haven't really said, like the way the Pro, I believe does it, is it kind of just like just kind of pulls it up. Yeah, like it up converts a little bit, and I'm wondering if that's what this will be as well. I mean, we'll get more information on it, or as one of my friends' one ideas was that maybe that there's like a Scorpio mode and a non-Scorpio mode, but then again, it's like, okay, well, what's the non-Scorpio mode? Is that going to look like, doo-doo and run like crap and, chug
Right.
and be a problem? And it's like, so, I think Crackdown 3 is the one game that people are pretty much assuming will be like a quote-unquote launch title.
Right.
Like you said, the one before in Crossfire, the Thomas Mailer, he's calling it, he says if it's a next-gen console to him, is what he says. So it's like, okay, is this, the quote-unquote Xbox 4, or is this, the Xbox 1.5 kind of thing, or was the
Right.
S that? It's like, so it's kind of like what it seems like they're doing with this, I feel like, is they're moving towards kind of like what cell phones do, where every couple years you get a new cell phone. Well, I think what they're doing here is the same thing, is they're saying, because, you know, all your old, you know, most of your old iPhone games or Android games, they work on your new phone, but there's some games that don't eventually, and I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they were talking about, as well as, so with this new Project Scorpio, it will be they'll have 4K in mind, which is the new, you know, area that TVs are moving into, is 4K resolution, which does look amazing. But they're saying that a lot of it won't not everything will be native 4K. And when I say native 4K, what I mean is, like, the PlayStation Pro, for example, right now, it's not a native 4K. You were talking about it up converts to 4K content, so it doesn't look as well as it could. But for content, like you said, Crackdown 3 or a new Gears game or a new Forza game, they can run probably in native 4K because it's the first party, you know, content. One thing I did see is that the producers of Mass Effect, who's coming out with Andromeda here in the next few months, the Andromeda is obviously coming out and the Scorpio isn't available, so they're making it for the Xbox One, the Xbox One S. But the producers did come out and say that they would definitely consider an update for Andromeda to the Scorpio. So I don't know, I guess maybe if, you know, with the new specs on the Scorpio, if they're able to kind of add in a 4K option, or, you know, to increase the graphics, maybe add some content that the Scorpio can do that the regular Xbox One can do. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see, you know, until most likely estimating holiday of this year for it to come out. You know, for when we'll see the Project Scorpio to be released. I don't know. I also wonder what they're going to name this. I don't think they're going to keep it Scorpio, because that's just a project name.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the obvious one would be Xbox One Pro, but I kind of feel like that at that point now you're doing the same thing as your competitor, and you almost want to differentiate. I mean, they could call it the Xbox One 4K, even something like that. I mean, because
they call it the Xbox One 2.
the Xbox 2 TWO.
Right. Yeah.
But the other thing I'm kind of excited with this that they've mentioned and talked about, because actually a few days ago I rewatched, I knew we were talking about this, so I rewatched the reveal video, was VR. And that's something I'm interested in, but it's something I'm super skeptical about, because it feels like one of those things that everyone that does it says, oh, it's amazing, it's great, it really enhances the game. But headsets these days are not cheap at all. So, I mean, the PS4 one, but from what I understand, that one's not the best one. A lot of people say the HTC Vive or the Oculus is better, and both of those, I believe, are over $1,000 each. So, you know, this console is going to probably be, you know, the least I could see is $400, which we'll get to that in a minute. Like, and then you got to spend the headset. You know, if you don't have a 4K TV, there's another over $1,000. So it's like, if you're going to really take the full advantage of all this, it seems like you're going to have to spend a shit ton of money, which is kind of like, ooh, but. Yeah. I don't know. It's
for us average, you know, middle class working adults. It's not very easy.
Yeah,
like it's almost 4K TV and a new.
You have to spend Xbox. Like $3,000 basically to get into this thing.
Right.
If you want to do the VR, obviously, if you don't really give a shit, then you're fine. Or if you already have a 4K TV, then you're cool. But yeah. I do not have a 4K TV. I do not have a VR headset. So for this, it's a lot of money. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of money. I'm really hoping, if the price point for that is about $400 to $500, I possibly would look into it at launch. Even if I don't have a 4K TV, I'd like to take advantage of the speed and just the upgraded, you know, specs that it has in it. I think would be worth it. You know, obviously, since as much as we play, would be worth it to move up to that. But you know, let's get into predictions of what do you think. You know, date. Let's do date. Let's do. Price, and then let's do maybe some games that may come out with it.
All right. Well, date, I'm gonna go with. Hold on, let me pull up my calendar. We'll say the second Tuesday in November. There, we'll just do that instead of looking it up. We'll make you wait. Gotcha. Price, and actually, I'll explain this. I think it's gonna have to be. I think. I'm gonna say $399.99, and that sounds insane. I understand, but here's my thoughts on that: is that if it comes in over the price of what the PS4 Pro currently is, they are shooting themselves in the foot like they did with the launch of the Xbox One. Because Sony at E3 always has their conference at night. So we're assuming, unless they have their own Project Scorpio event before E3, which is totally possible. But if they wait till E3 to announce the price and they go on that morning at, around lunchtime is usually when they have Xbox has theirs and say, okay, so the price is going to be, 500, 600, 700 or more dollars. Sony's going to go rearrange their thing, you can get the PS4 Pro and get, 4K visuals for $400. You don't need to do this. And then it's going to be a complete repeat of that. Do I think they'll actually do it? I don't know. I think Xbox has gotten smarter since their launch because they had a lot of issues at launch with messaging and all that. And price was one of the big things that people were like, well, this is $100 more than this one, and it's the same thing. Well, and the thing is you also got to consider is the people that are going to be getting this aren't – it's already a very narrow market. It's for people that already probably have an Xbox One or were going to get an Xbox One maybe till last E3 and then saw this was coming out and decided they were going to wait. So it's already a very narrow sales gap. It's not like everyone and their mother is going to go out and buy this like they did the Xbox One or the PS4.
Right.
This is like – it's a very niche thing. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of like, if you got to sell it, you need to make it cheap, at least cheap enough. Now, granted, knowing the specs, $400 is really cheap, but it's like, I don't know, they got to find a way. At least it can't be more than $500 or I think it'll just completely flop.
Right. Yeah. I think that we are, I think it'll probably be later. I think it's going to come out in the second Tuesday in December. And my thought is that it's actually going to be $600. I think that it's going to come out at $599.99. And the reason I think that is just because of the specs, that it's going to come out with. And I think that I don't know if they can do it at 400 just because that is really low, like you said, for the specs. And I know that they want to be able to compete with the PlayStation Pro, but what they'll be able to do is state the native 4K and the increased speeds, and this is the best console that you're going to be able to get. It's going to be just like PC gaming but on a console. So, and just with their thoughts of it being a premium pricing without being astronomical, I think astronomical would be anything $800 to $900 and more for a console. Because you could just literally go out and build a gaming PC for $800, which is really, a really good gaming PC. And with what they're looking to do with the Play Anywhere, where you can, the first party games and stuff like that you can buy for the PC, there would be no reason to go that high. So I think it'll be at 600. Another thing that I was considering too is when I first bought the Xbox One, I bought the bundle with the Kinect, and I don't use the Kinect for shit. And so they have been making some updates to Cortana. So I don't know if this Project Scorpio is going to kind of increase anything with a Kinect, if it's not going to have a Kinect. So I think that'll also have to do with some of the pricing as well.
Yeah, I doubt they've been just pushing more and more away from it. The newest update that's coming out this spring doesn't even have snap mode anymore to make the whole thing run fast, the whole guide run faster, which I have, and it does make it a lot better. But you can tell that they're slow. I don't know if the Scorpio will even have a Kinect port. I mean,
yeah, that's I would assume it has to have a port just because.
Yeah, well, or they'll do it. I think the Xbox One S didn't, and they had an adapter you could go on their website and get so that it works. It was like a thing that plugged in USB or something. I forgot what it was. I don't think it had one, but don't quote me on that. Yeah. Your logic totally makes sense for the price. To be honest, that's probably what it should be. I'm just worried that they might look at it and go, we can't have Sony going out there and saying, oh, our system is cheaper and you can still do 4K. The other thing is my brain just stopped working. So
no, yeah, you're right though. But like you said, if Xbox comes out and says that it's going to be $500 or $600 in the morning of E3, and then later that night, Sony goes, you know what? Hey, our PS4 Pro is $400. We're going to do a temporary price reduction of $50, so it'll be $350 for the next 2 months. And then, it's just their sales are just going to boom. So it'll be very tricky for Microsoft to come out and kind of and get it right.
To be completely honest, I don't even know if it's even possible for them to do it for $400 because, like I said, you look at the specs. Unless they found a way to, really get a good deal on those parts, then maybe not. I just, if they do it for more money, they really need to. I mean, they want to make it the slogan that this is the most powerful gaming console ever released for at least home consoles now. So otherwise, they really need to push that fact that this is why this is expensive. It's not, they need to really push it. And I think that's what they'll do. Probably. I think it's going to be more like $500. I'm just saying, I was just did my prediction at 400 because I thought that maybe they're going to go for the wow factor. Like if they found someone to do it and they just said it's $400 and everyone's like, holy crap. Like it's $400. Wow. Why wouldn't I get it? It's, it's so, but,
well, we as people who play, we can only hope that it comes in at $400.
Oh, if they're going to 400, I'll get a
right.
in 4K in June.
Right.
On my TV that day.
All right, so yeah, with the Xbox One Scorpio, we're both predicting somewhere between $400 to $600, holiday 2017. So we'll just have to wait and see. E3 comes in June. Maybe we'll hear it before that, maybe not. But we'll see what Microsoft can come out with.
Yeah, games. We kind of touched on it. Gears, maybe some type of Gears. I do think a lot of what they'll be doing is what the PlayStation Pro did and updating. Adding like a 4K toggle in the options. They did that for Infamous. I know. Second Son. They did it for a few games. So that's what I'm expecting mostly. Crackdown will probably be one of the big games because that already uses a bunch of technology for the building destruction. So that's basically what I'm thinking. Maybe obviously a new Forza.
I completely agree with those types of games. We'll, and those are the ones that they've already kind of announced. And as far as the Crackdown goes, but yeah, we'll get a lot more first party, I think, once it comes out and moving forward. So next, we're going to move on to the Grind My Gears Life Rants section of our podcast, where Justin this week will go over something that's been bugging him in his daily life.
It's not going to be really a rant. It's kind of just be something because, I drive basically what is equivalent to a bread truck during the day. I sell automotive paint. I don't know if I don't know if I mentioned that last episode or not.
I think you did.
I think I did. But basically I go shop to shop and I drive all over the Chicagoland area delivering paint and writing orders and doing that. And sometimes I'll just drive and I just won't have my radio on for whatever reason. And I'll just kind of let my brain just go. So, and one thing I started thinking about is social media. Like, if you think about it, it really started getting popular with like MySpace and then eventually Facebook and stuff like that. And the thing I was thinking about the other day, I think it was my Monday, was like, is social media really a good thing, or is it really like the shittiest thing ever? Because the good things, obviously, it connects you to your friends and family, maybe people that you would never be able to talk to or put the effort of talking to, I guess, normally, but it makes it so easy. So you can, follow your friends' lives and, all the stuff that they're into and this and that, and you can connect, Twitter, you got Periscope or Facebook Live, you can, live video chat, say, you got family in another state, you can, Facebook Live a birthday party for your child or something, so they can kind of be there even though they can't be there. Stuff like that is obviously the great part of social media, but what I've noticed just lately is there's just so much excuse my French, but shit on Facebook. There's people screaming at each other about politics, and there's people, it's kind of nasty sometimes on there. Like it seems like it started out like, oh, cool, we have this new form of communication that, everyone likes, pun intended, there's likes and shares and all this stuff, and the way of getting content out to people, and news is so much more readily available thanks to social media. And I'm wondering if it makes it worse because having some of this news, or at least some of these stories that are little stories, like a little story in Florida where, something happens to some guy, can blow up, and now the whole entire country or world is going nuts about this story with their opinions and this and that. And it almost seems like it's gone from like this great thing to it's like slowly like, no, this is how everyone just starts wanting to kill each other. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, it's great, but at the same time, it's like, man, social media is just really kind of, for some people can't do it. And not to get, ageist or whatever, but I know like my parents' generation, I'll see, I'm friends with a few people on there on Facebook, my parents, obviously, some of their friends that, I grew up around, and some of them just I don't think understand how to like do social media. I mean, I guess there's not really a right or wrong way, but like they'll share things that are obviously fake, or, they'll be the thing like, maybe like a puppy dog and he has no legs, and there's like, I bet I won't even get one share. And then like you see the picture of the profile is like some like high schooler that has nothing to do with this dog, just trying to get likes on a picture and shares. And it's like, what is the, they do stuff like that. And the other one I had is I had a friend on my Facebook that basically a few months ago posted, when I post my opinion, I don't really want anyone else's opinion back, but that's kind of what Facebook is. So it's like, and then I don't know, it's just a bunch of like, there's a lot of things with it where it's like infuriating, but then there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, that's cool. Like you share a funny picture or something and people like it, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's a good and bad thing. I just don't know what is really where this is going with social media, if it's really furthering our society or if it's like dragging us down.
Yeah, I think social media is the perfect example of a double-edged sword where there's good and bad. The good is the open communication that people get. The speed that we can get news now, instead of waiting to listen to the 6 o'clock news about something that happened earlier in the day. We have Twitter where people are immediately tweeting out, hashtagging. You can look and say, "Holy crap, there was a shooting in Canada at a mosque." Like, you wouldn't have found that out if you didn't watch the news, and you wouldn't have heard about it until somebody 2 weeks later would have said something. So, and that's back in the day. But now that we have social media, the good part, like you were saying, you can connect with people, you can get information faster. I think it has helped people to be able to voice their opinion more as opposed to keeping it in. But the negative side of that is now with more people giving their opinion, you don't really want to hear their opinion because their opinion is, is warranted. They have a right to their own opinion. I'm not saying that their opinion is wrong, but what it does is it starts arguments that don't really need to be, given. And it's just sometimes they have their opinions and they're so strongly worded in their opinions that they don't listen to anybody else's opinion. It's only theirs and they're the right. So that's the kind of arguments that I'm talking about. And other things that we see are cyberbullying, where somebody can post a picture from a high school girl posts a picture online of her having fun, and then a bunch of guys come and start sexually harassing her on Facebook, or other girls start going, "You're really ugly," and you are,
yeah.
And that has caused, we've seen it's caused a lot of depression and suicides and things like that for cyberbullying. So you're totally right. It's a double-edged sword. I feel like it's given us a lot more good than it has bad, but I also feel like it's given people who are the keyboard bullies and the cyber bullies, the people that you're out in the street, they wouldn't look at you and call you fat to your face, but behind the keyboard they'll say it because they're not afraid that you're going to go and punch them in the face.
Right. There's no consequence.
Right. There's no consequence for people to do that. So I agree with you. It's a double-edged sword, but it is the world we live in. It's only going to get more social media from here.
That's the thing too, is there's no like going back. It's not like also we're like, all right, everyone deactivate your Facebooks, delete your Twitters. We're not going to do this way anymore. It's not working. It's because the thing is, like you said, I do think there's more good to it. I mean, especially I know, like, I bet you my parents wish they had it when I was a baby, because now that I have a baby, it's really easy for me to share. Not that everyone wants to see them, but a lot of people do want to see pictures of like how he's growing, my son, and stuff like that. And I post a few funny pictures, but here's a perfect example. I posted a funny picture yesterday using like a face swap type, I forget, like kind of like the Instagram, not Instagram, the Snapchat filters, and one was a beard, and I put a beard on my son.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and I posted to Facebook, and 2 hours later, we get a phone call, or my wife gets a phone call from her grandma saying, "Don't post stuff like that. It's ugly." So it's wow. I know, and everyone else thought it was great, but her grandma said, "Now I have to go through, and anytime I post a picture like that or something that where it's more silly than just, oh, here's a cute baby, right. I'm just gonna have to put, don't show it to her, because the last 2 times I did that, because I threw one a few weeks ago, actually after we recorded the first episode, where I put a sombrero on him and put like a flask by him, and it was like, oh, I'm a bad influence, just like a joke. And she was like, oh, that's trashy. So
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, it's just the different generations. It's different. For her grandma's generation, that was social media is very new. So it's not, it's not something she's super, she doesn't really get the joke. Whereas, our parents' generation, they get it and they find it funny. So I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where it's like it's just a learning curve.
Soon enough, will be that generation, but we'll have already been in that type of social media thing. So we'll just have to see kind of
Right.
where it goes from there.
Yeah, because our children will never ever not know what social media is. They'll just assume Facebook is life. Like that's just the way it is.
Exactly. So we'll move on here to our DC movie studio discussion and talk about kind of what's going on with that. The big news that we got recently was Ben Affleck, who's playing Batman, was supposed to be directing Batman, but he is not directing Batman anymore because of some issues with with the writers and the different things like that. So right so far we've had Man of Steel, which I thought was pretty good, and then we had Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, which you and I thought was pretty good, but a lot of people said it was a terrible movie.
And see, I don't know if that's just people hating, kind of like how it's PS4 versus Xbox or
right,
stuff like that. Like if it's like Marvel fans that are just like only Marvel, screw DC, and there's like their movie stuff. I mean, it's a different vibe, obviously, the DC movies so far, and it seems like they're trying to find their way. Right. And I don't think the movies have been bad. Man of Steel was a little iffy, but
it was okay,
there was parts of it where I was like, "What the hell is even?"
Yeah, I really did like Wonder Woman and Dawn of Justice, and I'm excited for her movie to come out. Gal Gadot did a really good job there, portraying what they were trying to portray as Wonder Woman. So I think the thing with them that they're having an issue with is they don't seem to have a strong leadership like Marvel does. Whereas Marvel has Kevin Feige, who's the CEO, and he's pretty much been a executive producer for every Marvel movie that's come out, and kind of to keep the ideology and the timeline straight on that. And it seems like DC doesn't have that. And so basically I'm just trying to think of if DC could maybe do that. They've kind of tried to keep the same directors in Zack Snyder and things like that to keep going, but I don't know. I think they need some better leadership to keep their stuff in order.
They need to figure out, I think, a formula, because Marvel has got their formula absolutely perfectly down pat, I feel like, because I haven't seen it like in the past at least 2 or 3 years. I have not seen a Marvel. Now I haven't seen everyone. I missed Doctor Strange. That when that comes out on Blu-ray, I'll definitely watch that. But every Marvel movie I've seen, I've either gone in and it was as good as I was expecting, or it was better. Like Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy were both better than I expected by far. Like I was like, wow, this movie is great. Like I knew nothing about Ant-Man before that movie, and then when I saw it, I'm like, man, I don't know if this is true to the character, but whoever Paul Rudd was perfect. He played the character well. He was interesting. He was funny when he needed to be, but still serious when he had to be too. And it was just a really good mix. So they've got that down where there's action, where there's comedy still mixed in, and a little bit of motion sometimes, like with Captain America versus Iron Man. Oh, geez, what am I? I almost said Iron Maiden.
Civil War, Iron Maiden.
Captain America versus Iron Maiden. But Civil War, basically, they did a real good job with they just keep it lighthearted but also serious, and they just know how to use the characters better. I feel like DC just seems like they're all over the place right now.
It seems like DC can't get a grasp on what they're trying to portray. Another thing I think too is that Marvel's probably more popular. It's definitely more popular now, but I think people knew Marvel characters more than they knew about DC characters as far as the average kind of fan goes. Like, Superman, Batman. Those are two big ones. You may know Wonder Woman. You may have heard Wonder Woman, but do you know who Shazam is? Are you going to know who Cyborg is? Do you know who the Green Lantern is? I mean, we have Flash and Arrow now, which are great TV shows, but they're not part of the cinema, the movie network that DC's trying to get. So I think another thing, that's kind of hindering them is lack of knowledge by the average fan of who who the characters are, what they're supposed to be about. But I think so far they've done a good job with Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad was a great movie. I love Suicide Squad. But again, characters do you know who Rick Flag is? Do you know who Deadshot is? Do you know who Katana is? You've
Yep.
heard of Harley Quinn because of the Joker and because of Batman, but or Captain Boomerang. Who the hell's heard of Captain Boomerang? I mean,
Yeah, none of
it's
those
just
characters.
right. So unless you're a DC fan and you follow that, then it's harder to get a grasp of what it is. But we'll see. This year they've got Wonder Woman coming out in a few months. They've also got Justice League at the end of the year, which is going to be incorporating everybody: Aquaman, Batman, Superman, Cyborg, Flash, Wonder Woman. So we'll see, Green Lantern. So we'll see where they can how good they can make that movie to get people as interested, just as like Avengers did with Marvel. I just watched the Avengers TV spot from the Super Bowl whenever Avengers came out in 2011, I think it was, or something like that, where it got me hyped again to watch that clip just because it was so good of a movie. So I'm really hoping, for DC's sake, that they can pull it out.
Yeah, because like you said, Suicide Squad was just a kind of an interesting choice, I feel, because they did Man of Steel, and then they did Batman vs Superman, and then there was Suicide Squad, which was kind of like, okay, that's an interesting thing. And the other thing was that, you've been hearing now that the director of Suicide Squad regrets that he didn't use more of the Joker scenes, which honestly may have helped the movie a little bit for some of the people that didn't like it, just because, I thought that Jared Leto did a good job of portraying the Joker that they were trying to portray. They're trying more to make him, the Prince of Crime, more than like this crazy wacky dude like Heath Ledger did. I guess wacky is probably not the best describer. Like, psychopath is probably the better description. But, and the thing is, I think that's the other problem, is that now every Joker is going to be compared to Heath Ledger. And I feel like Leto, for what they were trying to do, they're trying to do kind of this blinged out, underground crime boss that's, a crazy psychopath himself. And I think he did a good job. And from what they said, there was a lot of footage they didn't use of him. And I know they were probably trying to, get the whole Suicide Squad, but I don't know. I know they did reshoots for that movie a couple times, at least once. So, and the same thing with Batman vs Superman. So you don't really hear about that much with the Marvel movies. It seems like they do it, and it's usually good. Like, they figured out what they could do. Whereas I feel like every DC movie, you always hear about reshoot. So they're obviously filming what they think they want to do. They're going to edit thing, and they're going, this isn't going to be good. And then going back to thing. And, while I did like Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad, I thought they were both pretty good movies, actually. I was entertained. I'm easy to please, but I thought that, compared to Marvel movies, though, it definitely felt like more serious, which is, if what they're going for is fine. But Suicide Squad seemed like they're trying to actually kind of go more in the Marvel direction of adding humor. So, I mean, I guess we'll see what they do with Wonder Woman, which I'm hyped for, and Justice League, which I'm also hyped for. So I'm excited to see what they actually do with those movies.
Yeah, the big thing with DC that Marvel did really good is when Marvel started with the very first Iron Man, or maybe right after, they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to build all of this up to Infinity Wars with the Power Gauntlet and the Power Gems. That's what they did. That was their goal. So everything since then has been loosely based around getting to that point in time. Whereas now with DC, it's like, we did Man of Steel, we did Batman vs Superman, but now we're going to do Wonder Woman, Justice League. But then after Justice League, we're going to do Aquaman and Shazam and Cyborg and Green Lantern and Flash. So they're not giving us kind of intros to those characters until we get to the big, combination. Whereas with Marvel, they kind of, they gave you Thor, they gave you Iron Man, they gave you Captain America, they gave you Black Widow, they gave you the other people that you knew going in. So I don't know.
I don't know if that's really a terrible idea to do Justice League first, because if you told me, like, for me, obviously I know of Cyborg and the Flash, but like, especially Cyborg, if the Cyborg movie came out before Justice League and you didn't get introduced to him through Justice League, which, is going to be mainly headlined with, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the main three, you might not even go and see that movie. I mean, you and I probably would, but the general fan is gonna be like, "Who the fuck Cyborg? Is that even? Oh, it's DC. Oh, like, I guess like." But maybe if he has like a memorable performance in Justice League that makes you go, "Hey, that character was really cool." Maybe now you're like, "Oh, hey, they're making a movie just with that guy. Let's go see it." That part I think is good. And I mean, like you said, I do honestly think it's the characters. I think it's just that they have a better character, at least more known characters, at Marvel, where it's just, you know, the X-Men, you got, you know, all of them. You know, I'm not going to go through and name every freaking Marvel character that you probably know, but it's just, they just have been better off with, they have a better thing to pull from. I feel like, I mean, Batman, Superman are actually huge properties and maybe even bigger than any individual character as far as known characters with Marvel, but at the same time, you know, you can only do so much with those two characters.
Exactly. So I don't know. We'll see. DC has they've got some work to do. They've got some movies coming out in the next few years. You know, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, like we were talking about. So we'll see how they can pull it out, and you know, make sure that they've got to make sure that they keep, you know, to the central theme of whatever they're trying to do, and get it going. But they've got some work to do.
Definitely.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Go Falcons!
Go Falcons!
Win the Super Bowl. We'll be working in the next few weeks to get some topics to talk about, and you know, we'll see you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.